This video is for you if you are a creative person. Maybe you are a visual artist, a writer, a speaker, a dancer, a performer, any and all of the above and more. And you find yourself returning to this place of being burnt out and not being able to create in a way that feels good. Maybe you're in that state of burnout right now, or you are curious about learning how to stop ending up in that place where you feel like you're crashing and burning, and you feel just horrible inside, and you just cannot even get yourself to get out of bed, and you would like to stop that from happening. So to start, I want to share a little bit about my story and my experience of being a creative person. This is just my own perspective, of course, but if it resonates with you, I highly recommend that you stick around and see whether what I have to share is helpful to you in your journey as a creative soul. I surely hope it is supportive to you. That's why I'm here, sharing my words, sharing what I have to say, sharing my perspective in order to help you, right? Like help you ground into a sense of empowerment and greater creativity, tapping into that state where the creativity just flows and you feel so connected to your creative practice, and it's not a struggle anymore. It's easeful, it's joyful, it's pleasurable, and it just one thing leads to the next. And even in periods of dormancy or lower activity, you're still very much connected with this sense of creativity, of being a creative soul on this earth. And so that's where I feel like I've landed at this moment of space-time. Hi there. My name is Yaerin Kwan. I use they, them pronouns, and this is Snakeskin. But that isn't always what I was experiencing, of course. As I've navigated my experience, my journey of being who I am in this world and this life, things have kind of unfolded. And so where I came from is a place of very rigid harshness, of extremely high expectations of myself, both as a creative and a visual artist, which I've been, drawing since I was in middle school, which perhaps you have been drawing since you were a very, very small child. But I kind of found my way back to my creative essence in that stage of my life when I was an adolescent, because of certain things that disconnected me from my creativity. But it's like, that's the beauty of how strong my drive to create is, how much of it is part of my essential nature, is that even though I pushed it away and disconnected from it earlier in my life, like when I was a child, it never stopped trying to find me. And so I reconnected with drawing as a middle schooler, as an adolescent. And back then I would really put a lot of pressure on myself to perform academically, as well as in my creations, in my drawings. So my relationship with creativity was one that was very much tied in with my self-worth. Like, I could not be proud of myself for for enjoying the process of drawing itself. I was just so obsessed with like the end result of needing to make something that looked good. Even though looking back now, I do really have a sense of gratitude and reverence for that younger part of myself for finding a creative outlet like I did back then. I would draw and draw and draw and draw, and it was my way of releasing the pent-up energy that I was never allowed to express in other parts of my life because of my upbringing, my culture, my family of origin. And so at the same time of creativity being a source of unworthiness of trying to prove myself, because if I didn't make a beautiful drawing, then guess what? I was worthless. That was actually something that I used to say to myself and in my writing and to others back then when I was quite a young human being. And on one hand, the creativity was a source of that stress, and on the other hand, it was also an outlet, a channel for me to really express myself and kind of focus the intensity of my energy into something that didn't get me into more trouble. Yeah, so it's like even through this entire journey, looking back at myself when I was younger and less knowledgeable about myself and the world, I was still doing things right, in the sense that I can still see the wisdom of my younger self, even though they were also trapped in so many cycles of turmoil and harshness and pain and unnecessary suffering. And I see the wisdom, the light that they were carrying, and it's beautiful. And I hope that this is landing with you too, as a kind of a mirror, a reflection for you to see yourself in that light, even though you may be having a hard time with being burnt out and wanting so badly to be creative and all the suffering that comes with that. At the same time, my intention, my invitation for you is to look at yourself and see your light, see the ways that you are acting in alignment with your soul. It's like this beautiful process of continuous unfolding of life, and it's never like bad into good. Like I was bad before and now I'm good. It's more like you were always good, you were always worthy, and it's just this continuous process of redefining, refining, shaping your relationship with what it means to be in alignment and what it means to be in a place of groundedness in your creative essence, and working around the challenges that life throws at you, and then ultimately learning to dance and flow with those challenges and opening to embrace those challenges even as an act of creativity, as an act of deepening your relationship with yourself, and that leading to a more free-flowing, abundant reservoir of creative energy that you can tap into with ease and grace and joy. So what I want to share with you today is that to keep your creative fire alive, to move with it and flow with it in a way that's sustainable, instead of, sometimes we get into these boom and bust cycles where we're really, really, really on the go and just getting everything done and being so on top of it for a bit, and then you just crash and burn. Those kind of boom and bust cycles, those black and white quality of your creative experience, that is something that happens. And for me, it hasn't been about trying to get rid of the ups and downs of my creative flow, but instead to recognize that my creative energy, it has a pattern of moving in ups and downs and activation and deactivation, and just this flow of expansion and contraction and light and dark and light and heavy, recognizing that my creative pattern works that way. And now moving from there, moving from that place of awareness of my creative cycles to make it as easy for me as possible to thrive in that structure, in that framework that exists inside of me as a natural part of me that I cannot change or try to flatten out or numb out or distract myself from. Instead of pathologizing the ups and downs and my moods and my energy levels, it's more of just accepting that there are going to be ups and downs, and not taking that as there being something wrong with me, but instead recognizing that that's real and moving from a place of awareness of that. And then how can I make it easier for myself to move through these periods where I feel like I have no energy and I am feeling down and my mood is low? How can I make it easier for myself to flow through that part of the cycle of expansion and contraction without making it harder for myself? Because then, like I used to when I was younger, beating myself up over being depressed or low energy or not having the energy to create. Instead of beating myself up for being in that place, it's like, okay, I need to replenish, I need to rest, I need to find ease and softness and not worry about taking care of everything on my to-do list and my calendar and my everything I need to do outside of myself. Right now, it's a period where I need to tend to myself. I need to slow down. I need to be with my body and my needs. I need to tend to my needs. Think about it. Does a flower bloom all year long? Likely no. There are periods of time in nature where everything thrives. It's overflowing with juice and life and just activity and just movement and flow. And then other times, we kind of go inwards, we contract, we go inside of ourselves, and there's a period of that dormancy. It's those natural cycles of nature that are essentially a part of you just because you are also part of nature. And I think that the society that we live in today kind of has a tendency to make us forget that we are part of nature. And that's part of it too, why we pathologize ourselves for having these natural cycles of ups and downs and ebbs and flows. And really the solution, if you want to avoid burnout, is to understand that you are gonna have ups and downs, just as virtue of being a human being, being alive, being a part of nature. And I would take it a step further even and say that being in tune with your natural cycles of ups and downs, being aware of when you are feeling more expansive and capable and energetic, and also being aware of when you are kind of in a lower energy state, in a less energetic, slower moving, heavier period of your energy. Being in tune with those natural cycles is what makes you a creative, because you need to be aware of where your energy is on a day-to-day basis in order to create. It's like flying a spaceship. If you're flying a spaceship, you need to have an awareness of your fuel. If it's getting low, maybe you stop by a planet and refuel, maybe get some of your engines fixed up, and then when you do have that high fuel, maybe then you can go fight intergalactic battles with your enemies or something like that. It's like your awareness of your energy level is an essential tool as a creative being to create, and create sustainably too. And the other thing about creating sustainably that I'll share in this video is that element of consistency, and being consistent in your creative practice, it kind of shows your creative practice that you care about it. Like, we are relational beings, and everything around you has a relationship with you. Like, you have a relationship with the people you live with or live by. You have a relationship with your money, your finances. You have a relationship with your creative practice. You have a relationship with the books that you read. You cannot exist in a vacuum. We are relational beings. And so it's like, how do you tend to that relationship that is your creative expression? How do you relate to your practice of creative expression? One way to relate to it in a more sustainable way is to be kind to it and not beat yourself up when you find yourself in periods of lower energy level. Like we talked about, you know, if you're with someone and they're always getting down on you and beating you up and criticizing you when you're not performing according to their expectations, are you gonna stick around with them for long unless it's hard to get away from them? I, for one, would go as far away as possible from anyone who treats me like that. And it's the same for your creative practice. How do you think your creative practice feels when you're constantly expecting things from it and not approaching it from a place of care and love? And building a relationship with anything, it requires consistency. So the way that I like to think about this is to feed my creative fire a little bit, at least every day. You know, if I don't have the energy to go on my iPad and make an entire drawing, it's like I still show up and I do a little bit of a sketch. Or instead of trying to write an essay every single day, it's like I go to my journal and write a few words about how my day was, just wetting that stone of continuously just reaching for the creative practice, reaching for it, deepening your intimacy with your creative practice by tending to it regularly, tending to the internal fire on a regular basis, even though it may not be a ton at a time every day. Of course, that's not realistic given what we've discussed about cycles of nature and periods of high activity and lower activity. And still, even in the depths of your most intense winters, it's like, how do you carve out some time and space and energy to nourish your creative practice, even just a little tiny bit? And for me, when I'm going through the worst storms and periods of contraction and pain, I often find that creative expression is that outlet that saves me, that allows me to come back to a place of loving myself. Whether that's through me expressing myself or by receiving a work of creative expression from someone else that resonates with me so deeply and just gives me comfort and nourishment in that place of darkness. So I hope maybe this video was that for you. I sincerely hope that this video has served you and has helped you reorient yourself or reground yourself in a relationship with your creative practice that feels nourishing, that feels sustainable, that feels natural. So thank you so much for watching, and I'd love to hear from you in the comments. If you want to see more videos, please like, subscribe, leave a comment, say hi, and I'll see you next time.